Hey, welcome everybody. Okay, everybody, welcome. Please, we get set up. Right. That needs to be muted. I'm going to be. There we go. Right. So, just to let you know that this session is being streamed via the John Browning's platform and recorded for future use in the Climate Ambassador scheme. And so, it's also part of this is going to go on the Coffee and Jockey podcast as well. So I will be talking as though people can't see us as well. So that, which is not unusual, is it? Really? I just talk that way anyway, didn't I? Just blabber now. So my name is Kit Marie Rackley, my project sheet, and I'm the regional hub manager for East of England for the Climate Ambassador scheme. And I'm very fortunate to be joined by not just one, not just two climate ambassadors. Not even 3 or 4. Well, Sylvia here. No, so Sylvia Knight from the Royal Met Society is actually Prime Ambassador. David Priest, where is David? He said he was coming. I don't have to ring him, man. Right, and then we have Aideen here, and we have Claire, who will speak a little bit about their role as Climate Ambassadors too. So some of you folks have been given some data sheets. That's because we knew that you were coming in advance, because you put your name down on Shed. We will talk about what that data sheet means. For the rest of you, when we talk about that, I've got some example ones that you can look at and how you can get hold of one for your educational setting. This is effectively a DfE-funded session. So could you please ensure that you register your attendance using the QR code? What that also does is that it, with your consent, that allows me to put you in contact with members of the sister projects from the Society for Sport for Education, National Education Network, and Let's Go Zero, so we can make sure that you get full access to the DfE supported projects as much as you can. Because it's free. Okay, so I'm going to whiz through the context bit quite quickly because it's been talked about quite a fair bit in the conference. I want to get down to the bits that matter. So this really does matter, but the context I don't go through with you as much because of your background in geography specialist, but you're aware of the DfE climate change strategy. If you have not read through that yet, and it's Guide for Climate Action Planning and Sustainability leads, please give it a read. It's definitely worth your time to do that. But in a nutshell, what it said was, well, originally it said by 2025, in every single education setting, from early years through to further in higher education, right, to have a climate action plan and a named sustainability. Now, it's not, the discussion's been had before about it's not statutory and whatnot, but the good news is that, preaching to convert people in the room, we know in our hearts and minds, it is statutory because of what climate change is all about, right? So we do understand the necessity for this, even though it's not legally statutory. Now, a climate action plan has 4 wonderful pillars: adaptation, resilience, biodiversity, climate education, and green careers, and decarbonisation. Now, if you were at the teach meet yesterday, I had a little tongue-in-cheek pop at the wonderful Paul, who's a gorgeous human being, you know, about he's been taken the role of sustainability, right? But he was given it because he's the geography teacher. And that's why I went, right, how many of you in the room are the sustainability lead or considering being the sustainability lead? That's actually quite reassuring. Later on in this session, towards the end, I'm going to give you some advice about how you can use your geography superpowers to facilitate, if not be the sustainability lead, okay? But what you most certainly can do through your specialism or through your capacity is support your settings climate action plans. So I won't go through this in much detail. There is no specific template of a climate action plan. That's deliberate. We have provided templates if you choose to use them. But the most important thing is that a climate action plan can be however it fits the context of your school or your multi-academy trust or your setting. Right? Some climate action plans look like this, right? Which is quite simply 4 sections and some actions that are going to be taking place and things that have been achieved. One of my climate ambassadors in the East, Dr. Aideen Cooper, is an amazing human being who runs the Felixstowe Community Gardens and Sustainability Group. He's basically, they've just got it on 2 slides day 4. And that's some education sets a great way to get started. Other education sets I've worked with have been putting it into their statutory documents, like their improvement plans, their evaluation forms, and in most cases, which I think is very positive, not negative, some are actually starting to write it into their safeguarding policy. And so they are making it statutory by choice. There's many ways you can approach this. But is all of this the responsibility of just a geography teacher? But by design, it is not, right? So one of the reasons why you need to take some time to read that strategy is it quite categorically clearly says it is a collaborative effort with the whole school community involved. And what I think is beautiful about this document, and actually, when it was the initial consultation of the strategy, one of the things which, you'll remember this, DfE, is that one of the criticisms to start with the first draft is that it put too much emphasis on certain individuals, and it's just yet another thing that was going to be siloed into geography or science. Like, DfE listened to that, the DfE listened to the young people of the consult. That's what you did amazingly, was listening to the young people. Speak of the devil. You're always forgiven in my heart. Don't worry about that. And the thing is as well is that it now explicitly says this is a whole school holistic effort, and they name groups like, yes, of course, the young people must be involved. Love that. They need to have agency. Teachers are only one part. Estate teams, estate managers, your catering staff, your business manager, SLT, the governors, the parent-teacher association groups. They name all these individuals, right? That they have to be involved in this process. But more importantly, which is the job of the sustainability lead, is to empower and delegate the responsibility to them so everyone feels like they have a say and they're involved. And you've got far more allies than you realise in places you didn't realise you had them. Okay? Right. So a climate action plan can be whatever you make of it. If you want a template to get started, we've got stuff like that. Okay? That's not a problem. Right. But again, more effort, time. Yes, I know I'm an ex-high school teacher, 13 years myself. I would have been approached, said, do you want to be the sustainability lead? And I would have said, come back to say, pay me any time. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'd be told to sing the earth, wouldn't I? But the good news is that there's free support out there for you. And here are 4 examples. We're going to focus on climate ambassadors mostly, but every single one of these is amazing. Self-service website that can be used. Incredible resource. It will put in details and stuff like that. It will give you specific help and advice, quality assured advice, vetted by the DfE amongst other people, and say, right, here are some resources to help you, and even here are some potential funding streams. Right? Let's Go Zero, amazing bunch of people. They're free. Climate action advisors come into your school and they will work directly with you to help you get started on writing on your climate action plan. The best meetings I've been with my Let's Go Zero colleagues have been me, the climate action advisor, so in my case, we've got Nigel, Luciana, and Jeremy, 3 gorgeous human beings. A member of SLT, some students, the sustainability lead, and any other interested member of staff. That's been the meeting, and we've all gone together and said, right, okay, let's get started. That's been the best experience for me. I don't need to say much about this. If you're not utilising this, you're missing a trick. You're missing an open goal, right? There is so many. I don't have enough time to say good things about this. Everything from embedding all of this stuff into your curriculum, across subjects, across phases. And Rob, as you know, as I said yesterday, GIS, lovely stuff on there as well, from like mapping your school site, and it contributes towards a citizen science project that if you map your school site on that, map your habitat, which goes into this database, and then you track your progress over time, and you can use that as part of the curriculum, you're actually contributing towards citizen science, which is, we are actually planning some research projects on the back of this right now. I can't speak highly of that. I want to give a shout out to Lewis and Jenna, who are my colleagues in East England. And then you got this one, which is all right. Aideen and Claire, over to you. So Aideen and Claire introduce themselves, who they are, what they do, why they became climate ambassadors, and how they bring their role and their jobs and their work into the scheme. Over to you.
Hi, I'm Aideen. I'm a reader in Environment and Society in University of London. And my research involves things like going into communities and talking about what are the impacts of climate change that you're seeing, also thinking about how you use data to support decision making. And I became a climate ambassador because I thought that there would be ways to share some of that expertise and some of the methods that I'm using with schools. It seems like there's possibly a role for some of these participatory methods and mapping methods when you're in the early stages of planning some of these activities, thinking about how to engage your community and envision the future with students, parents, with teachers, and so on. So yeah, that's me and what I do and why I became a climate ambassador.
Hi, I'm Claire. My career was in education publishing, and I was school governor for a long time, still am. Took a different turn at 22 when I trained as carbon literate, and I started a master's in sustainability education. I'm now working with a charity called Climate Ed, that takes carbon literacy into primary schools. I'm working really closely with my local primary school on a lot of activities that get described, supporting with their eco crew, helping the teachers be trained with climate literacy, drafting a climate action plan, and getting their team together, looking at who's got to be on the team, and then sharing with stakeholders to design it step on a particular journey. Thank you.
David, would you like to say anything when you're since you're in the room?
I'm a former geography teacher turned initial teacher training educator. I did my training, my PhD is in climate change. I'm a climate ambassador in London, South East. I've just picked up another couple of schools in Greenwich. And I'm married to someone who works in the renewable energy space.
That helps.
So it's that conversation of what businesses do, what is going on in the other world, what schools might go to touch, the mayor's funds and this kind of stuff that my wife lives and breathes and does on a day-to-day. Just I find that schools aren't aware of. Schools don't know. It's been interconnected rather than saying, have you thought about this? I can't give you answers, but I can give you some questions and things for you to go.
There you go, folks. And as I've already mentioned, we have other climate ambassadors here at the GA Conference as well. For example, Sylvia Knight, who's working with the Society, a lot of the work that she does, which is absolutely brilliant. Now, the Climate Ambassador Scheme only extends at the moment in England. It's an English initiative, because we know that education is a devolved thing, so Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland have their own thing. However, we do have some honorary climate ambassadors who are outside of England who do contribute to the work that we do here in England. So one of the people who can't be here today, who I treat as an honorary climate ambassador, I'd love to count him as an East of England KPI, Juanita, but anyway, is my wonderful friend Alistair Hamill. So he's produced a video for us that we're going to watch, just a 10-minute video, and then we're going to link it to how it can be linked to climate action plans, all 4 pillars of the climate action plans. Okay, so when I spoke to Alistair about that, there was no way that I could not include this. And so over to you. Thank you amazingly, Alistair. That's just absolutely fantastic. So what I want you to do now is I want you to think about the 4 actions, pillars of climate action, and just have a quick chat on your table. How do you think that project by Alistair, quite obviously it's climate education, right? Quite obviously. But actually, it helps with the other 3 pillars of adaptation and resilience, which is, building the, resilience and adaptation to the impacts of climate change, which is not necessarily a thing that a teacher could do, that proves otherwise. By increasing biodiversity and helping to decarbonise the area. Just have a quick chat. Can you come up with something that I'll reveal behind those categories?
Yeah.
I think it's general to say this is just a geography teacher doing his job, but this is what a geography teacher can do with their job, right? Right, any ideas? Any category ideas? Go.
Heat up, heat up is a big issue with that. There's a lot about, and these on your way.
Yep.
Certain areas, future risk of extreme heat, particularly in the summers, areas that got trees and have a lower heat. And that's not just this country, it's loads of stuff. I think there's an opportunity there to use that to link into future impact and importance. And obviously, then trees link to biodiversity.
Any other thing dealing with that? Yeah. Thank you very much, Bob. Anyone else?
I think this sort of link with council and having a voice with
Yeah.
council is just so important for young people to actually realise they can have that voice. That is an option for them. Incredible.
Think about how, I don't need to get on my soapbox here. Think about how disaffecting and how much mistrust there is now with local authorities and authority in general, right? What a way to rebuild trust, rebuild relationships, especially when you have such a disaffected young generation that comes to politics. There's so much disconnect. What a way to and don't forget, this is a culture that has got, has got very recent trauma based on the troubles in Northern Ireland. And this is what they can achieve and use to turn that trauma into strength. Then, then us with a bit more privilege than that, think of what we can do. Right, so here's some ideas then. Not exhaustive, but absolutely what you said about managing urban heat, managing stormwater. So by by looking at the quality of the trees as well as the number of trees, you're thinking about, okay, we plan now to see where there's areas where there's not enough shade, or where we can start capturing precipitation and implement maybe a sustainable drainage system using natural meanings. Managing eco-anxiety, the kids feel empowered. And there is nothing like addressing climate or eco-anxiety than empowering and making them feel like they feel a difference. Like that young lady said, the messages that they're getting from SDG 13, and then if you stop the lesson there and that's it, go recycle your water bottle, well, that's not helping eco-anxiety, is it? Right? It enhances biodiversity, of course, if you're looking at planning green spaces and things like that. Decarbonisation, the quality of the trees, you can then work out the amount of carbon that they are sequestering, and then of course you can then plan to say, okay, what can we do to maybe increase the capture of carbon? And there's obvious links there with climate education, green careers, and like you said, Becky, I think the most impressive one in this respect is getting involved and having a voice in the local council, and local councils turn around and say, this is amazing, we want to work with you. Now, you may think, yeah, this is a bit of a stretch, but I honestly won't be surprised. I won't be surprised if a position comes available on that council that wasn't there before because of this. And maybe one of those youngsters when they're older gets that job. But there wouldn't have been that possibility at all with this, would there? Right? So think of that. Think of that. I skipped through Louise very quickly, but because I gave this at the Teach Me. But here's another example. You've got Alistair will do these. It seems like a big thing, but really he just, again, very disingenuous. Teaching GIS. That's what he was doing, just the way he went about it. Here's another thing you can do, but Kit, I don't have time to do this. This was part of a lesson, right? So I went back into the geography classroom and did a year 10 lesson about the 6 stages of fieldwork inquiry. So what I then did is that then I got in touch with Louise Wilson from the Environment Agency. She's a climate ambassador in East of England. I said, Louise, do you want to, have you got time to be into the classroom and talk about how you, from the Environment Agency, go about the 6 stages of fieldwork inquiry through your job? Like, yeah, Kit, brilliant. Yeah. She's also got a fantastic Scottish accent, which is brilliant because these kids are from rural Norfolk and Suffolk, so they get to hear that bit of diversity as well. Right, so quite simply, 30, 45 minutes on the 6 stages of inquiry, we met the curriculum requirements. I made sure they understood, I made sure they checked progress. We had some consolidation activities, did all that. I said, right, Louise, you in? Brilliant, okay, over to you. And she talked about how she goes through those processes for the Environment Agency. They could see the real life applications, and then Q&A. They could ask her what she wanted, whatever they wanted. That did not cost that teacher a lesson. It didn't. It enhanced the lesson that they already had planned. And she reported to me, she said, Kit, I think they got more out of that 60-minute lesson than what I would have originally planned. That's not to put her down. She just said, because she knows the kids really, really well, I don't think those kids would have made as much progress of what was planned originally. But this, she had the one young lady came up to me and says, I now want to train in the geography career. Can you put me in touch with Louise? And later on, apparently, there was a greater interest in taking A-level, which as Steve has talked about, other people talk about, we seem to have a problem translating students GCSE into students A-level. Right? So there we go. Okay.
So really,
go for it, David.
Connection to the Gatsby benchmarks.
It is.
Your careers and advisor lead will be looking explicitly to make connections to local careers and to where does career education fit in school. And this is going to be for them.
Your careers lead will be like.
Yeah. But also your careers lead is your person to go and say, who do you know who's working local to the school that's in the office connected to this? Can you put me in touch with? Oh, we're next to solar farm. Oh, we're in the northeast and we've got a bunch of people working and building better wind turbines. Great, because we have got a connection we can use. So I think it's kids said at the beginning, you have more connections and more allies than you think you do. Your careers leading schools, one of them particularly, because they've got to get gaps.
Yeah. Thanks for that, David. That's it. Yeah, in fact, your careers lead is fantastic. I think your careers lead should really be on sustainability. Why not? If there's one of the pillars is green careers, green skills. Right, we're going to just have a little quick 10-minute activity, and the climate ambassadors are going to support this. So, and even if that is still undoable, it's not doable, right? Going down in scale here, what about on an activity level? What about talking about sustainability and using your school as the subject? All right, so this is not my activity. This is, she unfortunately couldn't make it. But my wonderful colleague Emma Baines, who's the West Midlands Regional Hub Manager at the University of Keele University, fortunately couldn't make it, so this is her activity. So basically, this is an article from Primary Geography, right? Some of you may have seen this. Alistair Hamill, as well as the part-time geography specialist at Forest, is one of the Let's Go Zero climate action advisors. So this is her list, right? So you get this for free, and if you subscribe to Primary Geography, you've got a copy of this, the full article. So instead of the full activity, because we don't have the time, unfortunately, but let's get a taste of the kind of thing you can do. So it's your job. We're going to strip this down a little bit, and you're going to have the support of the climate ambassadors. Help Wendy make her school more sustainable. You have a certain number of minutes to decide as a group the actions you're going to take with 3 specific things: the building exterior, the grounds, and inside the school. You can make the adaptation useful by drawing, sketching, annotating. We love it's not labelling, it's annotating. Right. Prepared to present the chat. We'll have to skip that bit, unfortunately, but you can take that away and you can have a chat about it because I don't want you to be that. You know what that cute. Right? Unless you're a vegan or vegetarian. Right, now, just a tip, I did add this little bit at the bottom. Just to add, this is what I really think is important for you to discuss with your young people or your students, whoever. Think what is achievable. But not only that, that's what you want to do and label on that sketch before you start is what you are already achieving. What are you already doing? If you already have solar panels on your roof, sketch the solar panels on that roof, right? If you've already got heat pump, fine. Don't worry about those things. You've seen what Alistair's just shown you. You've heard about the National Education Age Park. Think small scale as well as those big financial projects. What can you get for free? How you can use your community, right? The connections that you have. David gave the example with the careers lead. Think of those things, right? So have fun, get that, and if you need some ideas, you know, Alison's giving you some categories there, and she is an expert zero climate action advisor, primary teacher. So someone you can identify with. Right. My climate ambassadors pick their brains according to their knowledge and expertise.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Everybody. Get more time, I'd like to carry on and feed that back to you. But so that gives you just like and do and then there are so many things that you do in the curriculum already where the outcomes of that learning you can actually use as part of the school process in their climate action. There's no reason why that can't be done across the curriculum and whatnot, and it's just so good. As I say, there's resources like the national special about cross curriculum, all that kind of stuff. But that's just a simple one. I mean, we all do lessons on sustainable building, sustainable development, all that kind of stuff. Why not make your school as a subject? Yeah. Perhaps what about using a case study of maybe a school that has done this already, and there's an increasing number of case studies of that because of what's taking place. So the two schools that you gave, now they don't have to be grandeur, they don't have to be new. I mean, there are some of them in the Net Zero Accelerator, and with the new Net Zero school build. In fact, my old school, St Mark's in Harlow, is one of them. They don't need to be. They could be schools which this time last year didn't know a word about this stuff. And if you want to know who these schools are, get in touch with your climate ambassadors, regional hub managers, because we know, and we'll get their email details at the end. Right, so.
Just to bounce that conversation that was had by Emma at her lecture, when you do this and you are successful, vice versa, teaching your
Yeah.
the it's a good case study to feedback, but we did this and this is what it's.
That's a really good point, actually.
And this is how we share the success stories and what we're building on. And people then piggyback off your ideas like they piggyback off.
That is a fantastic point, David. Yeah, and then you can ripple effect that into the geography community more in general by doing things like writing an article for primary geography or teaching geography or something like that, and you can speak to folks like Emma Rowan Smith about that kind of stuff. Right, so these one thing so the steps that you can use your geography superpowers for, basically, become climate literate to your school's context, right? So the data sheet that I've given you, and if you don't have one, I've got just some examples here. So these data sheets is something that your climate ambassador regional hub manager can give to you if you're attached to a school. And it's just public data. It's DfE data, as well as some other data that we've collated. And just knowing this stuff is very, very useful. So, for example, the level of free school meals tells you something. It tells you the level of vulnerability. So, if, for example, you've got high levels of free school meals, so 20% is quite high, then maybe the kind of things you might want to prioritise sustainability is the adaptation resilience part of your climate action plan. Do you know the challenges between urban and rural areas? Use that in your school's context. Tundra is something you might not come about. That's an Office for Students measure that tracks effectively the proportion of young people who end up in higher education. So a Tundra quintile of 1 means that track previously, historically, very few youngsters going to higher education, whereas a Tundra quintile of 5 usually means almost every child ends up at university. So that's a really good measure that you could use to promote green careers, green skills, or think about if you've got low access to higher education. You might want to use those gaps in benchmarks to get people in green industries and green degrees and apprenticeships into your school. None of this is private data. You've got the government's financial benchmark. Your finances give you this, where the spending is too high. What's going on there? That's quite useful. Down the bottom, you've got heat and flood risk. That's a social economic measure compared to the UK average. So how is your risk changing compared to the UK average? So again, that's worth it, and that's a fantastic GIS. The link will take you to a GIS map where you can explore that further. It's really, really great. And you've got the Environment Agency's new flood toolkit for schools, which is an amazing piece of work that ticks many of these action points, climate education, adaptations in particular, and of course nature-based solutions, biodiversity, etc.
I love the food deals for the office.
Yeah.
Once I go in after we don't have flood. What a good way to say
What about that drain that never drains away? Yeah. Standing water. Yeah. So here's the bit I know some of you wanted to hear. Are you interested in being the sustainability lead? No. Fine. Encourage a member of SLT governor to take the role. Use your knowledge and your expertise. You are experts. You can have a voice in this, right? Demonstrate how the curriculum can synergize with the climate action plan. You're very good at that. You are cross-curricular teachers already. You already are, right? I used to annoy my colleagues at the end of a lesson when the kids were packing away. If I need to speak to staff, I go, "Oh, can I just have a quick word?" And I'll ask, "What have you been learning?" "Oh, we've been doing like hard work, John Constable." "Oh, yeah, John Constable, that's your place." "What do you mean?" "Yeah, parent clouds, and you learn different cloud types using these paintings." And then the teacher's like, "Oh, for God's sake, kids, stop it." You could be the lead for the National Education Market, because it's just, trust me, it's an open goal. Use it. Be a mentor to ECTs and trainees to make them climate literate, right? Yes, you might get, but then again, if you don't ask, you don't get. Ask if it's possible to have time and resources. You probably won't get a TLR, but it's worth asking for it. If you can give the case that this is actually beneficial to the teaching and learning, right? So please, please, please guard against silo and typecasting. Use the DfE strategy, show it to them, say, look, it quite clearly shows the DfE says this is not meant to be a geography or science thing, it actually says here in black and white, right? Delegate tasks, get a working group together which involves the students, get the designated safeguarding lead on that, get a governor on it. You will have at least one ally in the governorship. Contact Let's Go Zero. The first thing you ever do, get them in. Get them in, so you're not alone, right? Build a support network, review existing plans. Use what you already have, right? And this is really important. Can I have some time at twilight, please? Can I have 30 minutes, an hour at inset? That's it. If that's all you get, you have no idea how much that helps. Right? Okay. Consider training as a climate ambassador. Right? Yes, I don't have time for that. Is it extra work on top of what you already do? Is it extra work? Is it extra work on what you do? Is it extra work on what you do? It's not meant to be extra work. It's an enabler and a support network, and I like to call it an extra tool in your existing toolbox. Especially if you have, if you're one of the staff governors, please consider this. If you work across your trust, please consider this. Okay? If you've got a kid who goes to a different school, not yours, please consider this, because then you can support your child. That's what I do. I support my child's primary school. Use your geography superpower. You've been given 3 examples today, haven't you? Just 3 simple examples. You are amazing human beings, which is why I love being a member of this community, and I have been for 20 years. And I think if anybody can make a difference in education, geography teachers can. So use your power and your expertise and your knowledge and your passion, and you will find things that work for you, work for your school, work for your students. Okay, that's it, folks. Perfect timing. You got any questions? So here, so here's your contacts for your regional public. If you want to, we'll take a picture. So that's it. Thank you very much, everybody. So we've got a little area down opposite the Environment Agency store. If you want to speak to me or Anita, or Aideen is at the Birbeck store. Where are you asking? There's going to be at the Educate store. David's always around somewhere. Eleanor, you can pick Eleanor's phone. Just speak to us. Just speak to us. Have a conversation.
I think I was told to inside.
Oh yeah, Aideen's stores are in the side exhibits. Yeah, so there you go. That's it.
We've got a leaflet with the Environment Agency resources, so please do
Like this one.
and pick up all of the QR codes for all of the demonstration river craft. So if you haven't seen river craft, please come and have a go.
Flood control using mine. Yep. So it's all there. Everything's there. We can give you everything there. Thank you, everybody, and have a wonderful day. If you came in late and you didn't scan the registration QR code, can you please do that? It's really important that we log this. So, I know, right?